Now, before we even get into this whole video, let me just show you some of the beautiful things that people have said. So look at this guy. His name is Mayid. My brother's name is Moyid. But this guy, he says, all anger stopped. I have no thoughts and I just feel like I am flowing with Allah. And everyone's saying that my face has nur and feeling of peace. And I noticed I felt negative energy, but some people in my heart was telling me not to talk to these people and keep looking out for them. He's saying all of this is just by completing week 1, week 2, and now going into week 3. This man is saying, good morning, quick update. I'm up 10,000 USD since I bought the course, alhamdulillah, and I'm only on week number 2. And then you would see this man, Dose, he actually had way more testimonials than this, but one day he said he made 100K just from meme coins by going through the course, even though the course doesn't really talk about meme coins. It just talks about the mindset that you can use so you can attract more money. And this man, he's made 500K revenue USD from, not USD actually, for euros, from one store, and also from another store. He also made 500,000 in revenue, which totals up to $100,000 in profit from one store. And so these are just some of the testimonials that you can see from this beautiful course that I called the Effortless Risk course. So again, if you're interested in it, you can go and get it. There's free bonuses as well. The copywriting course, the Amazon course, the YouTube automation course, 5 steps to abundance and how to attract a righteous spouse. This is going to help out the channel because this video was actually sponsored by this beautiful course that I made. So it is going to support the channel, and inshallah is going to allow you to produce even more, inshallah, more quality videos for you guys. But in today's video, we're going to get into how to truly be present in doing the normal things that you do usually throughout your life. How to get into the present moment. How to live by flowing with the will of this one creator, with this one being. And in the previous video, we talked about how I gave you the flash meditation, how you can start creating gaps in the mind so you can access a state of no mind, so you can literally see how it feels living through the will of Allah. And in this video, we're going to be taking this, we're basically going to be building off the same teachings I gave you from the previous videos, but in this video, I'll be showing you how to do the whole thing by living through your everyday life. So let's get started. This is a deeply satisfying thing to do, being present. In this way, you can draw consciousness away from mind activity and create a gap of no mind in which you are highly alert and aware but not thinking. And this is the essence of meditation. When people talk about meditation, they're usually just thinking like, oh, shirk, it's bid'ah, it's blah, blah, blah. Meditation is just suspending, not just suspending all thoughts, but like watching the thoughts. And eventually, when you keep watching the thoughts, what's going to happen is the chaos is going to subside. The activity is going to subside. The activity is going to stop. And then when the activity stops by you watching it, that's how you'll access a state of no mind. But now, how do you do that? Through your everyday life. So in your everyday life, you can practice this by taking any routine activity that normally is only a means to an end and give it your fullest attention. So for example, if I'm right now, I was making this coffee, right? While I was making this coffee, I was making sure that I'm very present while I'm doing it. So for example, when I'm stirring the cup, I'm like stirring it with presence. When I place the coffee inside, I'm placing it with presence. When I drink, I'm drinking with presence. I'm saying Bismillah and I'm drinking, I'm tasting it, I'm swallowing it. I'm doing everything with presence. Every moment, I'm doing it with presence. When you go up the stairs right now, right? You place one foot in front of the other with presence. You're giving it your full attention. As if like, you know how when you just learn how to drive a car, when you're just learning how to drive a car, don't you usually do it with presence? You're just so focused on everything. You're like, when you turn, you're turning with presence. When you look, you're looking with attention, full attention. That's exactly how you live with presence. Pay close attention to every step, every movement, even your breathing. Be totally present. When you wash your hands, pay attention to the senses. Pay attention to the sound, the feel of the water, the movement of the hand, the scent of the soap, everything in it. Or when you get inside the car, after you close the door, pause for a few seconds and then observe the flow of your breath. Become aware of a silent but a powerful sense of presence. There is one certain criterion by which you can measure your success in this practice, which is the degree of peace that you feel within. And the reason why that is, man, is because most of the time you forget that Allah is actually always with you. That's the thing. You forget that Allah is with you in every moment. Like it says, it's like if there's two people, Allah is always the third. Allah is always with you in whatever circumstance you're in. And you understand also, there's a beautiful saying of Rumi. He said that when God removes everybody from your life, just understand that in that moment, God wants to be only like one-on-one with you. So whenever you notice yourself like you're just lonely out of nowhere, like you're sitting at home and then your whole family just left, and you're like, what the heck? All of a sudden now I'm lonely. That's because Allah wants you to just have a one-on-one presence with Him, and it's because Allah's teaching you be present with Allah first in seclusion, and then take the same presence and bring it out into the world. That's why the Naqshbandi Sufis, they say, they were like, in everything that you do it with the dhikr of Allah. When you're just flowing through life, do it with the dhikr of Allah. So when you're working on things, do it while having Allah in mind. And what that means is just by having presence in mind. When you're sitting down, focus, keep all your attention on your breath. Put your attention on the breath because the breath is always here. When you're out into the world in a crowd, stay in seclusion in your heart. Like you're out into the world doing things, but at the same time, you have so much focus on deep within. You have so much focus on the moment that's happening right now. And that's a beautiful state to be in. The single most vital step on your journey toward enlightenment is this: learn to disidentify from your mind. Every time you create a gap in the stream of mind, the light of your consciousness grows stronger. One day, you may catch yourself smiling at the voice in your head as you would smile at the antics of a child. This means that you no longer take the content of your mind all that seriously, as your sense of self does not depend on it. Most of the time, you feel fear because you're depending on the mind. Most of the time, you feel worry because you're depending on the mind. At times, I wake up or I go to sleep and I'm like, oh, I'm worried. How am I gonna make videos tomorrow? I'm worried. How am I gonna start making money tomorrow? I'm worried. How am I gonna do such and such tomorrow? And then I realize I'm like, wait, the only reason I'm thinking like that is because I'm identifying now with the mind. When in reality, the mind is still the thing that never grows. It's still in the chaotic. It's still very chaotic. Just like when a child sometimes turns chaotic and it throws a tantrum, your mind is always in that same exact state. Enlightenment is rising above thoughts. As you grow up, you form a mental image of who you are based on your personal and cultural conditioning. We may call this phantom self of the ego. It consists of mind activity and can only be kept through constant thinking. The term ego means different things to different people. But when I use it here, it means a fake self, a false self that's created by the unconscious identification with the mind. And so to the ego, the present moment hardly exists because the mind it only the mind wants to be God. The mind wants to be God. So what the mind does is that it tries to take this attention and place it only within the mind. The mind loves attention. It's an attention seeker organ. So what it does is that the entire time it's always worried about the future or it's sad about the past. So you might just be sitting and then randomly some thought is going to pop up about something that you've done in the past, something cringe that you've done in the past. When in reality, that's just something that your mind is giving you. Like you'll remember, you're like, oh, why did I say that in public? Why did I do that in public? And it's like, bro, what are you doing? You're just living in the present, and all of a sudden, you're remembering something that you've done like 2 minutes ago. Even if it's 2 minutes ago, man, why are you thinking about it? Just place your attention back to the present moments, not on the mind. Or one day is going to come and it's going to be like, oh, no, you have to pay the bill, man. How are you going to be making that money? And then in reality, by the way, you might have a lot of money, but you'll still be worried about such things because you never learned to conquer such things. And that's so sad. There's people that actually have money, but they're so poor on the inside because they can't keep their attention on the now. That's why I say don't be planning. No need to plan. Only Allah plans. Because what's gonna happen is that you'll keep planning, and then you'll have no time to enjoy the fruit of the planning. Because your mind, when you keep planning, your mind becomes way too active. And then when you do reach whatever destination you want to reach, your mind is still active because you've given it so much power. So you'll have no time to enjoy the fruit of your plan. That's why I'm like, no need to plan. Just make the intention. That's all you need to be doing. Make the intention, and then Allah Himself is going to create the plan by Himself. You need to do nothing. Just let Allah plan by Himself. That's why Allah says, like, you plan and Allah plans, but Allah is the best of planners. So no need for you to plan. No need for you to think of tomorrow. No need for you to think of what's going to happen a year from now. No need for you to set a 5-year goal. Forget about all of that. Just set the intention. I want to be rich. I want to have a big fat bank account. Whatever the intention is, and then go out through the world with no thoughts by constantly keeping your attention on the present moments. And Allah Himself is going to plan for you. Allah Himself is going to literally create the entire planned for you, the entire life for you. And you'll reach that same exact goal by accident because it's not you that's doing it. It's only Allah that's doing it. That's why they say actions are with intentions. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Actions are only like good when they have a good intention behind them. And that's why you'll notice like whenever you just have a pure intention, that's where the action becomes effortless. The action becomes easy. Again, to the ego, the present moment hardly exists. Only past and future are considered important. This total reversal of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It was always concerned with keeping the past alive because without it, who are you? It constantly projects itself into the future to ensure its continued survival and to seek some kind of release or fulfillment there. It says, one day when this, that, or this happens, I'm going to be okay, happy, and at peace. One day when I make $1 million, that's when I'll be at peace. One day when I get married, that's when I'll feel love. One day when I have the proper body, that's when I'll start loving myself. What are you talking about, Habibi? That's just the mind talking. The mind is the one that, and by the way, that one day is never going to come, just so you know. The mind is the one that's always thinking, one day this and this is going to happen, and then I'll feel this and this and that. That's all false. Even when the ego seems to be concerned with the present, it is not the present that it sees. It misperceives it completely because it looks at it through the eyes of the past. That's why I'm saying in the previous video, I said, when you look at the cup, when you look at this cup right now, I'm like some people, or I could look at it as like, oh, my beautiful wife made me this coffee, and now I'm looking at it with from the past. But when you look at it for as it is, it's just a cup. That's all it is. A cup with coffee inside. That's all it is. Because when you keep doing this, at some point you'll be thinking, like, what if your wife left you? And now you're looking at the same exact cup and you're like, this is the cup that my wife used to put coffee in it for me, my beautiful wife. And then you're thinking of all the past memories that you've had with her. Like if you left you or whatever. And now you'll feel sadness randomly. When in reality, this cup is just a cup. Like I might look at this mic and I'm like, this is the mic that my brother gifted me. And then let's just say your brother is no longer here, sadly. Like inshallah, he's always going to be alive, but obviously it's truth, right? And then you look at the mic and you'll just be like, oh, it's the mic that my brother gave me. And then you'll start feeling sad and all that stuff. When in reality, it's just a bunch of molecules together forming this thing that looks physically like a mic. A mic. That's all it is. But then when the mic comes, the mind is always going to try to keep you in these low level emotions. And I'm not saying don't be feeling sadness. I'm saying even when you are feeling sadness, like let's just say something happened and it made you sad. Go through the sadness, but go through the sadness with presence. And then once you go through the sadness with presence, you'll feel the love behind the sadness. You'll feel the beauty behind the sadness, even when you are angry. I'm not saying suppress your thoughts, man. When you think that now I'm saying suppress your thoughts, that's your mind talking. That's your mind thinking that, oh, this guy's saying suppress the thoughts now. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that when these feelings do arise, look at them, be present with them, enjoy them. Enjoy these emotions. All these emotions, whether it's low or high, enjoy all of it. But I'm saying, don't just be stuck in the past. Don't be living in the present moment with the lens of the past. Because that's what the mind does. The mind is going to be convincing itself that it's living in the present moment when in reality it's not. In reality, it's perceiving the moment from the past, which is all false again. Or it reduces the present to a means to an end that always lies in the mind projected future. Observe your mind and you'll see that this is how it works. The present moment holds the key to liberation, but you cannot find the present moment as long as you are in your mind. Enlightenment means rising above the thoughts. In the enlightened state, you still use your thinking mind when needed, only when you need it. That's why I'm like, people are worried about the election. This video is actually going to be posted after the election. You're worried about who won? Who freaking cares who won? It doesn't matter who won. The only time the problem, like you'll be feeling the effect, is when things actually start to arise, and then you can use your thinking mind. Use your thinking mind. Okay, what should I do in this next step? Don't be worried about, oh, this person's going to win, this person's going to win. I'm going to start to get worried. I'm going to have to start planning. I'm going to have to start thinking this and this and that. No need to be thinking. Only think when it's needed, when the present moment needs for you to be thinking. So you'll use your thinking mind when needed, but in a much more focused and effective way than before. Because when you use your mind to think when you truly need it, that's when you'll notice that even just the level of thinking when you need it is going to become like you're so alert. Like it has power in it. It has energy in it. And you know what that is? It's because when you start to use your mind, your thinking mind, only when you need it, you'll notice that it has so much energy that's left. You have like a reservoir of energy that you'll just be using, and you'll exert it in that exact moment. You use it mostly for practical purposes, but you are free of the involuntary internal dialogue, and there is inner stillness. When you do use your mind, and particularly when a creative solution is needed, you oscillate every few minutes or so between thoughts and stillness, between mind and no mind. No mind is consciousness without thoughts. Only in that way it is possible to think creatively, because only in that way does thoughts have any real power. Thoughts alone, when it is no longer connected with the much vaster realm of consciousness, quickly becomes barren, insane, destructive. So that's the thing, Habibi. My lesson for you in this video is live your entire day, every moment with no thoughts. Only when you need to be using your mind, then you can use it. Like for example, I'm actually supposed to be installing something in the wall right now from a beautiful wife, and I'm like I don't need to be thinking about how to do it before I'm even doing it. When I'm doing it, like while I'm doing it, then I can start to think, the measurements, how is this going to be? How is this going to be? But when I'm not doing it, I don't need to be thinking about it. There is no need. The only reason why you feel a need to be thinking about it is because you're not trusting Allah. Even in those little things, Habibi, you're not trusting Allah. And it's because your mind is like, hold on, I need to be thinking, how am I going to be doing it? Like this or like this or like that? But there's no need because you're not doing it in that moment. When you actually go and do it, then you'll notice. And by the way, this is like, I've noticed there's a 100% conversion rate, 100% success rates. Whenever like the task arises and I have to go and do it, and then I think about it while I'm doing it, and then you oscillate between no mind and then mind, no thinking and then thinking while you're doing it, that's when you'll notice like even the task becomes beautiful. The task becomes like trust me when I say you'll have a 100% success rate with whatever task you do, because you'll be doing it from a state of like you have so much energy. You have even the thought that comes, it comes like it's so smart, and then even you'll be surprised. You'll be like, what the heck, how am I so smart all of a sudden? And you're smart because now the thoughts are arising within consciousness. The thoughts are arising from Allah, from the one true being, not just through like the mind thinking. It's like you're just stuck in overthinking mode, or you're stuck in like thinking about the past or the future. If you're sitting down, you'll notice, by the way, this is going to eliminate waiting. There is going to be no more waiting. You're waiting at the doctor, but in reality, you're not waiting. People can look at you and they're like, he's still waiting. But deep down, you're just being. That's all you're doing. You're just marinating in this being. You're just marinating in the mercy of Allah. And that's going to be a beautiful state to be in, because now at this point, you look at the world like a baby looks at the world. When a baby is born and is looking at the world, it's looking at the world in awe. It's looking at the world in amazement. Like, wow, things are so beautiful. But the only reason why you lose that lens of things are so beautiful, because when you grow up, as you grow older, your mind becomes too active, and then you start to place so much attention on the mind, so much attention on the past or the future, when in reality, if you just place it back, the world is still as beautiful as it was when you were a baby. That's why when babies are born, like babies are looking at it through beauty, but why are you not looking at it through beauty? You're not looking at it through beauty because you've used up your mind way too much, and then you started to identify with a past self, when in reality there's never been a past self. It's just a fake self, a false self that you've created in the mind. Like this organ that we have is such a beautiful organ. It's a beautiful organ, Habibi. But the only reason why it's taking you over is because you've misused it. And you've misused it because the presence of Allah, you're not identified with it anymore. You're not putting your attention on the presence of Allah. You're not putting your attention anymore on the mercy of Allah that's constantly here. Do you see what I mean? I'm hoping this is actually like sinking deep inside you. Again, I'm only making these videos because people on Twitter, they were asking me, they were like, start making videos on how to unlearn most of the things. Because I told them, I'm like, the greatest learning that you can do is just unlearning. And through this unlearning, that's where the world opens up for you. You ever wondered why the Prophet ﷺ, he was an unlearned prophet? He was an ummi because Allah wanted to keep him pure. Just like how a baby is always pure, Allah wanted to keep the Prophet ﷺ as pure. And then that's why you'll see like anything he touches turns into gold, because it's not his touch that's touching the things. It's Allah's touch. And that's a beautiful thing to do. And that's a big statement, by the way. And I'm hoping it's sinking deep inside you. If you're confused, again, be aware. Who's the one that's confused and who's the one that's aware of the confusion? And then go watch my previous videos on this exact topic right here, the last two videos. So anyway, I'm telling you, bro, I'm telling you, man, these teachings changed my life. These teachings truly helped me 100x my life. And I'm hoping that it's going to help you as well. If it is, if this is helpful, just let me know, Habibi.